Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
The X-Men have got to be one of the most confusing franchises to pinpoint, to pitch, to discuss, to explain to someone why it's good and popular, and maybe the greatest team in comic books that we've ever seen. It's one of the greatest concepts, ideas, and then it's the collection of characters that just seem to be unstoppable, where you can do anything character-wise and just throw them into this environment, and they'll have a run, they'll have moments. We don't get this with Fantastic Four. We don't get this with Justice League of America or the Avengers. But the X-Men, because they're so emotionally driven, right? Persecuted, they're mutants. That's the whole plot of the X-Men, by the way. You're born a mutant with special powers. You're born a superhero or a supervillain. You don't acquire the things that you can do through like an accident or scientific experiment, alien artifact. The X-Men are born the way that they are. And welcome back, AKAPADers. We're talking X-Men today. We're also talking X-Men tomorrow. Today's focus is X-Men Evolution, created by or developed by John Bush, John W. Hyde, and John Vane, the three Johns. John Vane, by the way, is Jon, not John. But yeah, the three Johns developed the show, created the show for American television, 2000 to 2003. It effectively, even still, as of right now, is the most popular media-driven, meaning Burger King did a promotion. We had multiple toy lines, multiple scales of action figures, but X-Men Evolution was even on the toy shelves for a solid 5 years. They were still there when the show ended. These were the X-Men and the X-Men toys for a generation, and previously the hype and the excitement for the X-Men, right, stemming from the movies. So they did something wildly different, innovative, and new for this show. But previously, the 90s X-Men, that ran for 5 seasons. Some will call that X-Men the Animated Series or X-Men 97, where Disney Plus, right now, they say it, technically it's not. We never spoke about it on this podcast, but X-Men 97 has a sequel that's been running for the last 2 years on Disney Plus. It's all connected to that 90s series. There's no real connective thread. They're taking leaps and bounds. They just copied the look and the idea that they're adapting the X-Men comics from mostly from the 90s, but now they're pushing close into the 2000s now. But what exactly is X-Men Evolution? It really is the evolution of the franchise. This is the first time we saw a divergence of the X-Men core concept, which were you're born with powers, you become a superhero, and between the two, you train at the Xavier Institute. The X-Men Evolution puts all of the kids, they're all young, they're all in high school. They're not. They're in public high school. They're not at the Xavier Institute. So we already get these moves, and all the characters, they find themselves through the school with Magneto. He's in darkness. He's not in the forefront in like the first run of episodes. He's literally a shadowy figure. He's gathering his brotherhood of evil mutants. Xavier is doing the same. It's a little bit of an arms race, but they're all kids. They're all teenagers. Wolverine is the most senior of the characters. And it's just something new. Now, to the comic book faithful, you saw this series and you held up your nose because it wasn't a direct adaptation. This was a interpretation. Again, very new, very broad, but it was broad enough to where, in my view, it did bring in a run of new fans, a run of new interests that came, like that maybe also stepped in through the popularity and toy line from the X-Men films. But here's the crazy thing, my AKA Padders. This series really is not discussed. It's not held up to any regard, which is crazy to me because the intention of all 4 seasons, by the way. Now, season 4 is shorter. We're in mid-double-digit episodes. I believe season 4 is only 9 episodes. But they have a through line. Let's see. Yeah, season 4, 9 episodes. Season 1, 13. Season 2, 17. Season 3, 13. Season 9. Season 4, 9 episodes. And that comes to what? 52 episodes total. This series has a through line, and that through line is Magneto. And everything kind of comes to a head and comes to this epic conclusion, which reveals something about the franchise. The X-Men are, and they're doing this now in X-Men 97. The X-Men franchise is predicated on big events and big storylines. They're predicated on character building and driving through a conflict with villains that power-wise, and this is even before everybody was obsessed with what they call power scaling now, which is just the most idiot term. But power scaling, again, let's just bring you guys up to speed, is you have Captain America versus Magneto, for example. And let's just say Captain America can charge or power up. So while he's fighting Magneto and Magneto is doing the same, what exactly is the scale and power level? Meaning, I'm going to power up to this phase of my it's so ridiculous when you're trying to describe it. And then, like when I'm at this power level, will this defeat the other power level? Maybe Captain America versus Magneto is not exactly, but you can technically have a Professor Xavier versus Magneto power level, where the power levels of Xavier's mind versus the magnetic ability of Magneto. We will always assume the highest level of Xavier will easily overpower the highest level of Magneto, but the highest level of Xavier versus the highest level of Apocalypse wins. So like in a way, it's the, like, you can have a fight between two characters, and you kind of have this built-in drama when certain characters level up. It's a Dragon Ball Z thing. To me, it always seems silly, but it is entertaining. People talk about it, so they keep putting it in everything. The problem, though, is that it's a lot like time travel, where power scaling never quite makes sense once you scrutinize it. So, which is why you don't time travel in your story, and you don't power scale in your story. You have to find other ways. You gotta be a little bit more creative. You gotta dig around your soul to get the solutions. But the X-Men, we're conditioned with the Dark Phoenix saga. We're conditioned with going back to Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse, or Onslaught, both of which the X-Men 97 series seems to be marching towards. The Phalanx Covenant is a great one. Mutant-wide crossover, the Mutant Massacre. It goes on and on. Inferno. These are all inner X-Men crossovers that took in all the teams and all the characters, even in the days where X-Men was really getting its footwork done in American comic shops. Like they were getting grounded, meaning people went into the comic shops, they would buy the regulars, Superman, Batman, but then they would get Wolverine and the X-Men. It's astounding what the X-Men were able to do just off of the comic book page in the 80s and 90s. They went from being a know-nothing title to taking over the industry with Giant Size X-Men #1 and selling 8 million copies with adjectiveless X-Men, Jim Lee, Chris Claremont, Scott Williams, 8 million copies. It's one of the biggest single comic book sales in history, or releases. I guess it's more fair to call it a release. But X-Men Evolution is the first time on this like bigger scale that we had a different idea, a different approach. I love the way that they use the Blob in this. They use characters that were popularized within the movie. Where the first villain we're introduced to is Toad. And Toad, too, seems to be, he might go the way of the X-Men in the first couple episodes. But Toad is only in this because of the popularity or the attention he got through the movies. Toad was not anything. He was not popular. He was somewhat of a throwaway character until he showed up in that first movie played by, Ray Park? Darth Maul? Snake Eyes played Toad. Kind of cool. But yeah, AKAPAD. I just wanted just remind you guys of this series. It's available on Disney Plus. I think it's fantastic. They create a new X-Men trope, which was just revealed in a post-credit sequence of the episode 4, season 2 of X-Men 97, the Disney Plus series, which is we're going to embed Captain America to Wolverine's origin. Or Wolverine's backstory. Now, we got a little bit of that, too, in the original X-Men animated series. It's solidified here, and then moving forward, every single interpretation of Wolverine brings in the time that he's in Japan, and he runs into Black Widow, and he runs into Captain America. It's a classic Jim Lee, Chris Claremont issue that just resonates with people. The cool factor of it is just, again, having Wolverine before he joins the X-Men, just kind of living his life and going on his little Wolverine adventures. And along the way, he encounters a Captain America and Black Widow. Now, the films haven't done it, but Wolverine Origins in the opening credit sequence touches on the lineage of the character, and that's really what the intent of throwing Captain America into the series. But yeah, I think this is one of the most underrated X-Men anything. It's not the X-Men that we will hold true, or the one I was speaking about earlier, but it's definitely a series and a storyline that has a through. It's A to B. It has a through line. It has an arc worth paying attention to, and the interpretations and solutions for a lot of the characters, Nightcrawler, Shadowcat, they elevate Spike. Or Spike is somewhat of a new character for this, but Spike is really, Spike is a divergent of, I forget the name. There is an X-Men character that Spike is a divergent of that grows bones as weapons. What is the name of that girl? It's a female character drawn by Joe Mad. I'm getting a brain dump there. Look that up. Fact check me. Full and fun recommendation for this weekend. This cartoon, X-Men Evolution, rock and roll. I love you guys.
Okay, that's a wrap.